You just got coconut mauled. I'll turn on my webcam. There I am. Good afternoon, everybody. How do I hide that? Open that. We're sorted out. Let me open a few things and then we'll be ready to go. So, a few dev streams ago, like last month, I worked on damage attributes and like critical hits against different types. And I was like, that's good. Done and dusted. That's all I'm gonna need. And then I tried to code an enemy that did more damage than it used to. And I was like, oh, wait, I actually have no access to any of the base numbers that are doing this damage. And so if I want to like add a strength potion, I currently cannot do that. So I started fleshing out a more powerful system that ended up being more like what Dr. Dreams had. And I'm going to finish that on stream, the design work, and then depending on how long that takes, I will implement some of it. Yeah, I meant to do that yesterday, and then I got started messing around with the Code Editor 2 in the new beta for GameMaker. It's very cool, but not useful for me yet. Okay, we'll switch. Hey, display capture. Wrong one. There we go. There's my code. Hello, code. Okay, should be good now, and let's take a look at that. I also have some strawberries and whipped cream, which I will be eating because it's my afternoon snack. Alright, so let's give a summary of this, both for the viewing audience's benefit. Zelda's Lullaby, Ocarina of Time, or whatever. Hello, flushed faces. Someone's lurking. And for my own sake to remember, what I'm trying to work out. So here's the damage formula I have right now. There's a lot going on here. But basically there's three sources of damage that can happen. There is the dealer, so like in the player's case. Yo, Ian, you wish you were the strawberries. Don't flatter me. Long time no chat. How's it going, dude? So the dealer is like the player or the enemy that's actually attacking. I realize I don't know how good my noise suppression is, and I don't want to be chewing strawberries. You're gonna eat up strawberries too? Do it, man. Strawberries are so good. The second thing is the attack itself. So if the dealer uses, like, you know, in Drifter's case, the Tarnished Axe, where is it? The Tarnished Axe. This is going to do less damage than the Seraphite Axe. And so this is already actually the part of the system I have. If we take a look at the item definition code, here it is. The Tarnished Axe does 2, the Glint Metal Axe does 3, the Seraphite Axe does 4, and these are the attributes which I've implemented before. So damage type, slashing, and then the Seraphite Axe also has light damage. That's all fine. That's currently the only part of the damage calculation. And then there's the third thing, which is the target. And the target is whatever you're hitting with that attack. And this is partially covered with the attributes. And the attributes is like Pokemon style type resistances. We'll go look at those. Where they will do damage types. Here we go. More damage for certain things. So a slashing, the axe damage is going to do a crit versus plant things, which is trees. So that this way I can add a crit barrier so that in order to damage a tree, you have to have at least one crit versus it, which prevents anything besides an axe or some other slashing type thing to actually break trees in the first place. So that's how I'm using the type things. And a crit will double the damage. Or it'll multiply it by the number of crits plus 1. So if you have 3 crits, that's still only 3 times more damage, 4 times damage. It's not doubled every time. Okay, there's a lot going on. Too many tabs. And the attributes are chosen based on the attack type, because like it doesn't matter what the dealer is made out of. But the attack has an attribute, and the target has an attribute that affects that crit calculation. Thing that is getting hit. So that's this part of the damage calculation, is the crit calculations and the crit barrier. And that you can see here, it uses the attack types and the target attributes. So here's the types, and here's the attributes. This is just pseudocode to help me understand it. In GameMaker code, it's going to be a lot more code than that. In fact, this part's already coded. It's somewhere. Damage, attack. Here we go. Calculate damage. Yeah, that's all of this. This is the crit weaknesses and stuff. So then there's this other thing, which is I want to account for the like base strength of the dealer in addition to the base strength of the attack. And I want to be able to do things like resist 50% of physical damage, mostly for the player's sake. And so that's a separate part of the damage calculation, which I think is going to affect the base damage here before the crit count stuff happens. So here's the base damage. If the attack does no damage, then it doesn't matter how strong the dealer is, it's going to do no damage. That's to prevent, like, actually there was a bug in Daughter of Dreams where there was a situation where you could get, if you, so the way abilities worked in Daughter of Dreams was like if you had like a debuff spell in Daughter of Dreams that would like apply a status effect, it was typeless, and so it would do no damage no matter what your bonuses were. So it did 0 damage and it was typeless, and then it would just apply the ability effect. That's how I checked it initially. But then if in Daughter of Dreams you added a type using like a Dark Strike item, it would make all of your attacks Dark type in addition to their base types. And then you buffed your Dark Elemental damage, you get +1 Dark, and your ability, like your debuff spells, would now actually do 1 Dark damage because of that. So that's what this is for. This is just to say, hey, if the damage isn't supposed to do, like if the attack itself isn't supposed to do any damage, then it doesn't matter what other stats are involved. None of this is going to happen. We're going to go straight to the status effect phase of the damage calculation. Status effects, that's a whole different ballgame. I have plans for them, but I'm not adding them in the first playable version of the game. So then we take the base damage. We're going to calculate the base damage of the interaction between this dealer, this attack, and this target. And that's going to be the base damage of the attack plus the sum of all the additive bonuses on the dealer and subtracting the resistances, the additive resistance of the target, and then multiplied by the multiplicative bonuses of the dealer, subtracted by the resistance, the multiplicative resistances of the target. So this is going to be a raw increase, like +2 damage, +2 light damage. Will apply for any attack that has the light damage type. You'll get +2 damage because it has that light damage bonus, or something could have resistance to that type and have armor against a particular type, or this all type, which will just, every attack will always have all, so I can just buff everything or not. And there might be some categorical things like physical or magical, but I haven't figured out how to manage those yet. And then you apply a percentage bonus, so like +50% light damage bonus, or if something should be completely invulnerable to a particular attack, then it would be minus 100%. And in fact, that makes me think... You can tell I'm thinking because I stopped talking. I think the resistance should be a third step. Here's why. So this is actually going to be 1 plus the sum. And this is because this is going to be a bonus or a subtractive effect. So it's a percentage. And if I put 0.2, that should mean 20% more. So that's 1 plus 0.2. So a minus 100%, minus 1, would mean negate all damage of this type. I don't want to add them together. I want to multiply them together separately. That way, if something has 100% resistance to a particular type, a minus 1, in this category, it will be then multiplied by 0, negating all of this damage. If I added them together and you had bonus percent, then you would actually offset that and be able to damage something that should be 100% resistant. So these sums can be added together because they're all just plus or minus. These ones need to be multiplied together instead in order to allow the 0% or the 100% to apply correctly. So then if you had like double damage of a type, but an enemy had 50% resistance of a type, those would then multiply as well to equal 1. And so you would end up with the same damage, the default damage. Is this Stardew Valley? Yes, it is. Okay, so that's that. That helps. And then the last thing is we're just going to round up the base damage. So if it's 0.1, you're going to do 1 damage. I always want whole number damages because keeping track of anything else is silly and the player doesn't care. Round up. And then this is the damage barrier is a minimum amount of damage that has to be done in order for an attack to hit. So some things like have a kind of armor where like you need to do at least 5 damage in order to damage it at all. And this will exit early with a like bounced off the armor kind of animation. So then once we have the damage base, we then do our critical hit stuff, which is the same as before, but using a more complicated damage base formula. I'm going to erase that because I know what that means. I don't care. So then the real question that is remaining, I'm happy with this, is how to structure all of these stats behind the scenes. What are these bonus damages stored like? Because there's 3 things here. I'm going to delete these 3. There is base stats. I'm going to delete this too. Base stats, bonus stats, add, and bonus stats, multiplicative, multiply. In a damage calculation, the base stat should always come from the attack. In any other stat calculation, it would come from the dealer, because there's not a target, there's not an attack or a thing. So there's actually 2 types of stats here. There's things that affect attacks, and everything else. And everything else is stuff like movement speed. What do I have here? Let's go look at the stats as they are right now. So I think it's in here. Just silly. I've sorted them already. These things affect damage calculations. These affect the damage calculation that I just showed, the math, this just affects what happens when the attack happens. These are properties of a damage and not types. So then there's other stats which are don't apply most of the time. Though I guess they... I do kind of like the idea of like adding your max HP stat as a damage property and then having it do damage scaling off your max HP. That's really stupid though. I'm not gonna worry about that. That will be a custom behavior if that happens. So these ones are only for entities. These don't apply during damage calculations. So I think I actually want these to be 2 or maybe 3 different things. Because the stats here should all be based on damage type. So that would give us the attack dot damage stats the dealer.dstats oh, there's also these resist stats add and resist stats multiply. So for the damage stat calculation context, the attack is the base stats. I don't think the player, the enemy would ever have base stats. You would just put those in as bonus stats. They're only going to have base stats for those other things like speed, where those aren't ever going to be 0. So the attack provides the base stats. Then the dealer has 2 more things, which is add d-stats mult. And then the target has these as well. And then there's another type, which is any entity has, and we'll call them e-stats for entity for now. E-stats? The states? No. I'm writing code here, Google Docs. This is, what's it called? Donkey Kong Country? Sticker Bush Symphony, yep. And then any entity has these as well. That's, a lot of different arrays. The trouble is there's another thing going on here, which is the non-damage properties of an attack. So like knockback and hit stun, which I might remove from the game. But that's beside the point. Deal with that D properties. This is silly, but I'm writing it out for now. And then target.d properties. And here we again have the add and the molt problem. Oop. Okay, does Arcanaclysm work right now? Let me run it. And if it does, I'm going to make a safety commit and then start messing with some stuff, because I think I need to see it in code to be able to make a decision about this. Let's go. Globber, you me. Oh no, it actually hit me. Well, hey, works. Okay, let's safety commit. What is this? Oh right, I renamed some scripts. Okay, that's been done. Really picked a topic to stream that would just require me to silently think for multiple minutes. So it goes. I've been thinking about this for like 2 days, and I'm still not like confident. Because I want to not ever have to change it again. And in Daughter of Dreams, there's just like one gigantic stat array. Actually, let's look at Daughter of Dreams code. May as well. Wow, it's slow. Come on, Game Maker, you can do it. Oh god. Okay, well... it's updating to the newest version. I didn't test this with Daughter of Dreams. Hopefully it can compile still, but I don't need to compile it. Wonky. Funk Fiction remix Sonic and Chill. Chill Zone Act 1. Alright, Project Tool, you did it? Cool. Oh yeah, I always forget. Well, that'll work, but CS. How do I specify types? Let's go look. Add types, and then it's just a stat. That's interesting. So I did just all combine them into one big stat array, and then all of them can have bonuses and resistances, even though, like, speed resistance doesn't make sense. That's probably okay. I might do it this way. You can see in the labels where some of them, there's a lot of different categories of things here as to whether they're labeled or not. Like, these ones are Boolean, these ones can't be inverted, and then these are the labels for different types. So if it's a damage type, it's this one. So I guess... Interesting. I guess max HP could be a damage type in Daughter of Dreams, and it would render as HP, which is weird. This is if it's bonus damage, this is if it's resistance. Now the problem that makes this trickier is that in Daughter of Dreams, everything was always additive. There were no multiplicative bonuses except for one that I manually coded, which is Mark of Agony. Not Mark of Agony. Curse of Syra. But then these ones... These ones, all the damage types can do everything. That's why they're all filled out with these different things. You can resist stun, you can have aspect of stunning, aspect of magic. And I wouldn't mind the aspect system in Arcanaclysm as well, because that's pretty nifty. So the question is whether I do this, I combine them all and then treat them individually in one big stat array. Or if I want to separate them based on what they apply to. This would be the design where I separate them. The benefit of combining them is that I can have one set of methods for handling them. Yeah, I think that's how I want to do it. And maybe in the stat array, I build these backwards. So this would make this would work like this now. Find all. Case sensitive. Actually, let's keep it as stat. That's okay. That would make dam type should be stat now. Find all. That should be fine because I already did that. Then if I delete this, okay. And now for damage property is not going to be dam here, damage property.dam. It will be damage property.dam all. This stat will refer to the base damage that doesn't care about what type it is. Oh, no, see, this is different. Well, I guess in Daughter of Dreams it's true like this too, where CS base range melee, set cost, new attack, damage and piercing damage, and then add types like that. So that's still true how that works, but the damage types list just takes stat indexes instead. And what's interesting is you could then make a weapon that does damage based on your base speed, for instance. Because you can be like, hey, that's a damage type of speed, and then if you have bonus speed, it will increase your damage. Which is cool. I mean, kind of confusing, but cool. And you could then make an enemy that could resist that specific attack. I don't know why you would, but this one has immunity to speed type damage. If you're moving too fast, you cannot hurt it. That's interesting. Well, yeah, we'll do it this way. So let's see if that change here, where I removed damage type and switched it for just stat. Oh, it's not gonna work. Ah, shucks. Find all. Okay. Okay, and then the last thing should be the axe and the hammer items. Because now I'm specifying that these are damage stats like this. I might rename those, but that's okay. For now, I'm going to do it like this. Oh. Yeah, these ones have not been generalized like the axe has. This is Cosmo Canyon. Oops, forgot to unmute. It's okay. I need to bind that to a hotkey, probably. Damage property. Should I just use dam all for the damage? Base damage? No. I was gonna say, that's not video game music. But it's a remix with SNES sound fonts. It's pretty cool. So now the idea is that the stat array would not be multiple arrays, but an array containing stat properties. So an attack, a dealer, any entity and any attack is going to have a full complex stat array, but only a subset of the stats will actually be used. And I think this could just be a 2D array if I want really fast lookup. Or I could do an array of structs, which should also be pretty fast and be more easy to expand, so. Actually, and I can, if I do an array of structs, I can only define the properties that I want to modify, and then just use a nullish coalescence for anything that's undefined can be treated as 0. So that means that the structure is going to look like stats is an array, the length of stat. Every single thing that could be a modified variable of an entity or an attack. And an attack is going to have stats, a target or stats, and an entity is going to have stats. And this entity includes attacks and dealers. Sorry, dealers and targets. So then in here is a struct. And the struct contains a few different things. It's going to have a base value. It's going to have a bonus add value, and a bonus mult value, and a resist add value, and a resist mult value. And that covers this, because D properties is also going to be just a stat. And then for things like speed or max HP, you're just not going to use the resistances, because that doesn't mean anything. And then the only last thing is that damage types have to be the top of my stat array, because some arrays are only going to be the length of the damage types. Specifically, the crit table. Oh, I guess even that doesn't matter. No, it does. This is wrong now. This should not be stat total. This should be stat. Like this. I see how that works. Okay. Then in crit count and crit check. Crit count is check is fine. Crit count is also fine. But these are going to be stat. These are going to be stat. And I'm going to specify stat.den underscore. So that's the type I'm expecting. And crit count, that. That's an array. We'll just do this in crit check. If damage is larger than or equal to stat.dam total, okay, that should never happen unless I do something weird, but in case I do something weird, now I will know what happened. Let's make sure that all works. And I just, oh god. Ah, right, I forgot about that. By the way, I added some foam to my mic. It's not perfect yet, but it should be, the keyboard sound should be much quieter. I have plans to build a little box to go over my keyboard as well, which I tested and did make a big difference, but I need to like construct one so that it's not too perilous. But yeah, I have more foam and I'm just gonna build like a tray that covers basically the part of my desk where my hands are in order to prevent as much sound as possible from escaping. A little soundproof foam box. And I tested that, and I got down to almost imperceptible volume, so that I think I can filter it out with noise suppression at that point. And it may be possible to make my keyboard totally silent on stream. I might not do that anyways, because I think the keyboard sounds are a little bit part of it, but at least being quieter with them will be nice. Okay, so this now works. Do I use ability anywhere? No. I'm gonna delete this for now, since it's confusing. I would like to swap damage property for stat. Actually, this is going to be attack properties specifically. Do I need attack height? I guess you could... Yeah, I want that as a stat because I want the player to be able to fly, and then your attack height should be... or I could use that just as copying the dealer's properties. But yeah, I'll just keep it there for now. So then these go away. Well, I'll keep them for now since they're encoded. I want to remove damage property as well. And property. This is going to be harder to fix. Because this should be... instead of properties, it should be stats. So here's what we're going to do for now, is replace property with stat. And then this would be... Okay, sensitive. Damn. No, that's just going to be stat. There we go. And then this is going to be attack damage. This is going to be attack iframes. This is going to be attack knockback. And it's attack height. Okay, some of them, I missed some somewhere. And I'm going to replace this stuff here with these things. I'm going to replace with a component that will be used for entities and attacks. For now, I'm just trying to get the code to work the same that I did before. Types are unaffected. It's just the difference is that I'm doing that instead. Set types, get types. There's no iframes. iframes multiplier? Result.iframes? How? Where does that come from? Get iframes. Oh, that's their current iframes. How do I set it? Okay, let's just run the code and see where it crashes, because it will crash. I'm confident. Yeah. Dim property. Oh, set property. Oh gosh. Set property. Right, the knockback multiplier. So this is going to be stat.attack knockback. Yeah, that's not gonna... Yeah, this is gonna have to change, but... Is there anything else? I think Become Gigantic is gonna crash as well. Which might not matter until I load the big globber, but let's try that. Oh, God! Okay, well that crash on hit. Damn property.height. Let's just do a broad search for that. Okay, I think it looks like this is the stat. Now, the nice thing about this is even when I remove the attack stat properties, get stat is always going to compute the entire thing. All of the multipliers are going to be applied when you call get stat. Which means this code I'm not going to have to change. From here on out, it's going to be good. I'm just going to replace the get stat method with a new get stat method once I have the advanced stat system in place. This might mean it's done because damn property is now fully deleted from the codebase. Smack. Bam. Yeah, let's check the logs. Yep. That's good. Let's see if Become Gigantic breaks something. Actually, I think it might only affect stats, so good. This is Wind Waker. You can see in the log that the attacks do different amounts of damage because they're different. Okay, it became gigantic correctly. Hit me. Alright. That did 0 damage? 1 damage. Why? Oh, it's the follow-up impacts because they happen every frame instead of on a cooldown. Oh god. This guy's chonky. Dead. Okay. That's all looking good. Everything is now 1 array instead of 5. Attribute and stats. Those are the only 2 things. And attributes are going to be Boolean and stats are real. Numbers, that is. So I could use, like, I could have an attribute flying, and then that would not be a damage, like there would not be anything in the crit table for a flying attribute thing, but I would be able to check if something had an attribute. And I could make an attack that was a flying attack, I suppose, but that's silly, but that's okay. All those extra things, if they don't make sense, I just won't use them. But the system doesn't care. You can have a flying type attack, why not? This is Final Fantasy X, right? Yeah, to Sanderkant. So I want attributes and stats to be not in this component. Well, first of all, let me commit. Commit this. What is it called? I'm gonna call it combined stat enum. Damn damage property and damage type combined with stat. Okay. So yeah, I will go, let me explain what I'm going to do next, and then I'll end the stream, because it's been about an hour. I'm going to move attribute and stat into their own component, which will be a prerequisite for... Do these guys have... In fact, there's already stats. Entities already have stats, so these also are going to get moved into a component. And the entity and attack will both inherit the stat component. And then I will add support for base stats, bonus additive and multiplicative stats, resistance additive and multiplicative stats. And the nice thing about this is I can expand it. If I want some other form for a stat value to be modified, I can add them into this array, this struct. I will add support for all of these and make the get stat compute that. And then attacks and entities will both have those things, and it will be the same. In fact, this might be like, instead of doing this, I might have this be a second array, like stat type or something, so that I can specifically grab whichever one I want and have those expand naturally, as well as iterate through all of them. But we'll see. I'll test a few things. Anyways, thanks for watching. That will be all for me for today. I'm going to keep working on this and then implement it. And I don't know, I'm going to try to make a video about the stat stuff. I don't know how to do that. Maybe just show the debug menu, because like there's not a lot of uses for it yet. This is like a very planning ahead for the future kind of thing. But you know, I'm trying to like get over my like perfectionism about the video, and like if I didn't do anything cool, I can make a video anyways. It doesn't have to be a cool video. I just want to get something out so that I'm still updating the YouTube channel and stuff. Yeah, have a good day, everybody, and I will see you next time.